I want you to imagine a close friend or family member who's involved in a serious car accident. And after the accident, their physical injuries gradually improve over time, and physically they get back to where they were before the accident. But you notice that they've become distant and lack joy in their life. That spark in their eyes just disappears, and even just the mention of things that they used to enjoy doing triggers a wave of sadness, anger, or general negativity. These are some of the emotional shifts that can occur with PTSD, and these emotional and thought symptoms that are associated with PTSD are not really well known or understood by a lot of people. When you think of PTSD, people often think about flashbacks and nightmares, re-experiencing the traumatic event, and a person doing whatever they can to try and avoid memories or trauma triggers. But underneath all of that, PTSD is kind of like this web of negative thoughts and mood changes that change the person's view of themselves, the world, and their ability to connect with and relate to other people. The traumatic event can change a person's sense of self-worth. It can lead to distorted beliefs about the world and leave a person feeling emotionally numb or empty. So the first of these symptoms is that a person can develop negative thoughts about themselves, other people, or the world more generally. Imagine a soldier returning home from war in which he witnessed horrific events and was constantly in danger. After coming home, the soldier may struggle with beliefs that the world is a fundamentally unsafe place and has this pervasive sense of danger that affects his entire outlook about everything around him, making it really difficult to feel secure and to relax at any time. He may have difficulty trusting other people, perceiving that other people are not reliable or supportive in a crisis. Common beliefs about others include the belief that other people aren't trustworthy, that other people are dangerous, and that you should be extremely cautious about other people. This mistrust of others can make it challenging to form new relationships or maintain existing relationships, and this can lead to isolation, withdrawal, and loneliness. And as a result, people withdraw from social activities, afraid of putting themselves in situations that they might perceive to be unsafe, and their social network becomes much smaller and smaller and smaller. Additionally, it's very common that people develop negative beliefs and thoughts about themselves after a traumatic event. The person might constantly replay the traumatic event in their mind, questioning their every decision and every action. And this can lead to self-blame, in which the person believes that there was something they could have done to have prevented the traumatic event, or more that they could have done to protect themselves or other people. And these negative thoughts about a person's capabilities then serve to erode their self-esteem and their perception about their ability to keep themselves safe. And related to this, another type of symptom is distorted thoughts about the causes and consequences of the traumatic event. This often appears as a persistent and typically irrational sense of blame, either directed toward oneself or outwards towards other people. You typically see this in victims of sexual assault who constantly replay the event in their mind, thinking about every detail and trying to come up with something they could have done differently to have prevented the sexual assault. The person might blame themselves for being in a certain place at a certain time. They might blame themselves for trusting the wrong person or for not fighting back harder. This self-blame, in turn, chips away at a person's sense of self-worth, and this further contributes to more negative beliefs about themselves. Now, these distorted beliefs can also take the form of blaming other people involved in the situation. For example, the victim of sexual assault might blame the police for not responding quickly enough, or might blame bystanders for not intervening. Now, it's important to recognize that these feelings are understandable in the immediate aftermath of a traumatic event, but holding on to this blame can create a sense of anger and resentment, which makes it a lot more difficult to move forward and to put the traumatic event behind. This tendency to blame oneself or other people after a traumatic event can be incredibly isolating. It can cause a person to be reluctant to confide in other people, fearing judgment or blame, and this can make it difficult for a person to seek support or help, worsening the emotional toll that the PTSD is having on them. It's important to recognize that it's natural that we want to find meaning and understanding when these traumatic events occur, but this type of blaming, self-blaming or other blaming, tends to be misplaced. So for example, for the sexual assault victim, the responsibility of the assault does not fall on the victim or the police or the bystanders, but the responsibility and the blame for the assault falls solely on the perpetrator. And this can sometimes get lost when a person becomes so focused on blaming themselves or other people. Now, one of the more surprising and distressing symptoms of PTSD is difficulty remembering important aspects of the trauma itself. At first, this seems really counterintuitive because you would think that a significant traumatic event like an assault or serious accident would be seared into a person's memory. However, the brain's natural response to overwhelming stress can sometimes interfere with the formation of clear memories at the time that the event is happening. When an event is perceived as highly stressful or dangerous, the body releases a surge of hormones like adrenaline and cortisol, which are hormones that play a crucial role in the fight or flight response. But the thing is, these hormones and the fight or flight response can disrupt the process of memory formation. So, for example, a person who's involved in a serious car accident, they might find that they struggle to remember specific details of the accident. They might remember flashes of images or certain sounds, but the overall memory of the accident can feel fragmented and incomplete. A client once explained to me that it's kind of like you have a jigsaw puzzle and you've shaken up the jigsaw puzzle, and so all you get is little bits and pieces of the puzzle without the totality of the image. And this lack of clarity around remembering important aspects of the traumatic event can be incredibly frustrating and disorienting for a person. It can often raise doubts about the person's sanity, wondering why they can't remember such seemingly important details about such a significant event. And this fragmented memory can have a major impact on a person's healing after the trauma. Without a clear understanding of what actually happened, it's difficult to process the emotions associated with the trauma. So the person just experiences little snippets and images of what happened without having a cohesive picture or narrative for the event, which furthers the person's anxiety as they often fill in the gaps with their own worst-case scenarios. Another common symptom of PTSD is the presence of persistent negative emotional states like fear, horror, anger, guilt, and shame. These emotions can be intense and unrelenting. So, for example, someone who is involved in a car accident may initially experience understandable anxiety and fear following the accident, but in PTSD, these strong emotional states persist, leading to a person becoming highly anxious or fearful of driving again, or the person may experience feelings of horror as they replay the accident in their mind over and over again, contributing to further anxiety or even panic attacks. The negative emotions can also manifest as anger. The person may be extremely angry at the situation, angry at the person who caused the accident, or persistently angry at themselves for not have been able to prevent the accident. And this anger is often directed outwards, which can lead to problems in relationships, or it can be directed inwards, which fuels that self-blame and negativity. So you can see a lot of the symptoms interact with one another to make other symptoms worse. And related to this, guilt and shame are common negative emotions that persist in PTSD. The person might feel guilt due to self-blame about the accident, or feelings of shame for how the accident has continued to affect the person and that they haven't been able to get over it. These feelings can be incredibly isolating and contribute to a harsh inner critic that just makes a person feel so much worse about themselves. Now, one of the most interfering symptoms of PTSD is a loss of interest in activities that a person used to enjoy before the traumatic event. For example, a person may have been a passionate musician who loved playing guitar, seeing music as an escape, a creative outlet, and a tremendous sense of enjoyment and personal expression. But after an assault, the person finds themselves apathetic and disinterested in playing guitar. This loss of interest in activities can extend beyond just hobbies. People might lose their interest in social activities, in exercise, or even in spending time with loved ones. The sense of joy and motivation that once fueled their interests and joy in activities completely vanishes, leaving the person with little drive or interest to do anything. And this symptom can be incredibly disheartening, as activities that used to provide a sense of accomplishment or meaning, contributing to a person's sense of identity, these things completely disappear, leaving the person feeling empty and directionless. Now, there are several reasons why people experience this loss of interest in activities that they used to enjoy doing in PTSD. As I talked about earlier, the traumatic event can shatter a person's sense of safety and security, resulting in them viewing the world as a dangerous place, and therefore don't want to do any activities outside of the safety of their home because it might seem reckless or needlessly putting themselves at risk. Additionally, the impact of the traumatic event can be incredibly draining, leaving a person emotionally exhausted and having little energy or drive in doing activities that they used to enjoy. And finally, the impact of the trauma can make it difficult to experience positive emotions because the person is so preoccupied with fear or sadness or anger that it makes it difficult to want to do anything. And related to this, one of the most devastating symptoms of PTSD is an inability to experience positive emotions. Following a traumatic event, a person can become emotionally numb, having difficulty experiencing feelings like love, joy, or excitement. This inability to feel positive emotions is more than just feeling sad. It's a sense of emotional flatness where the range of human emotions is muted. The person merely goes through the motions of daily life without any spark or joy that once made life meaningful or enjoyable. Social interactions that used to be fun and filled with laughter now feel forced and empty. It's almost like the person is just going through the motions of their life, feeling robotic and flat. They know they should be feeling a sense of happiness or joy when playing with their children, but they feel nothing. And this can lead to more feelings of guilt and shame as a person feels like they're faking it in their social interactions, not being genuine, and pretending to feel happy or interested in things that they could care less about. And finally, the last of this group of PTSD symptoms is a sense of detachment and estrangement from other people. In PTSD, the person often feels a sense of emotional isolation, making it difficult to trust or connect with other people, including loved ones. They may feel that they can't relate to other people or that other people don't relate to or don't understand them. And as a result, the person with PTSD becomes more withdrawn and distant as they struggle to share their experiences with friends, fearing that they're going to be judged or misunderstood. And this social detachment or estrangement can happen for a number of reasons. First of all, the traumatic event can shatter a person's sense of safety and security. As I mentioned earlier, they may have difficulty trusting other people, and opening up to others can feel risky or dangerous. So the person doesn't want to get close to other people for the risk of being hurt again. The person with PTSD may view themselves as fundamentally different or damaged, broken after the traumatic event, making them feel like they're unworthy of connection or love from other people. And the more disconnected and estranged a person feels, the more they withdraw from others, which just fuels a greater sense of disconnection and detachment. So while people often focus on re-experiencing symptoms like flashbacks and nightmares, trigger reactions when they think of PTSD, the impact of PTSD goes much deeper than that. These negative thoughts and emotional states associated with PTSD are kind of like the hidden scars that contribute to emotional numbness, persistent negative emotional states, withdrawal from people and life's activities, and a general sense of isolation and hopelessness. And if you want to learn more about treatment for PTSD, I'd encourage you to check out this video. So that's all for today's video. As always, thank you for making it all the way to the end of this video, and I will see you in the next one.